tract 9 at the Devil's Backbone, surveyed property. It's 7.61 acres in size. So surveyed with the corners marked. The entire north side borders the Mark Twain National Forest, and the south side actually borders the easement road and the Mark Twain National Forest. So you've got access to the National Forest on two sides. Tens of thousands of acres of national forest, by the way. In fact, the portion of national, it's all the Mark Twain National Forest, but the portion of national forest that it borders on the north, you've got something like 30 or 40 or 50,000 contiguous acres that you can get to all in that one section. And then on the south, it's about a 400 acre tract of the Mark Twain National Forest that you've got access into as well. So pretty awesome property for hunting and recreation and all that good stuff. It certainly could be usable for building a cabin or a home. These are off-grid tracts, so you want to keep that in mind. But certainly can build out here, subject to the property covenants that you can see on the listing page. Amazing location. I mean, only about 5 miles northwest of West Plains, Missouri, which is the largest regional city for sure, but extremely private. We've got the county roads labeled over here. From Highway 60 north of West Plains, you would go west onto County Road 4740. You go west a couple miles, then go north or right onto County Road 4870. You go about 400 feet and you'll see the easement road beginning on the left. So gravel easement road. There is a gate that's set back about 100 feet or so. Just get a hold of us and we'll give you the combo for the gate. But you head west on the easement road. After just a few hundred yards, you've actually got the National Forest on the left side. And then within about a half a mile, you'll be coming to Tract 9, which is on the right. So Tract 9, when you get there, you've got National Forest on the left, property on the right. Tract 9 actually does have a private driveway and a pretty good-sized site that had been roughed in. That was done with one of the large mulchers on the front of a Bobcat. We can zoom in and have a look at this. By the way, there are only about 32 tracts at the Devil's Backbone, so very small private rural development. Most of these tracts border the National Forest. A few of them, like this tract, do border it on two sides. As we zoom out a little bit, we can see some of that. So about 32 tracts. Tract 9 is basically all wooded, other than the driveway and the site, which were cleared pretty recently, so you won't see those showing up on the aerial map for probably a couple years. You can check out the drone video, though, and the ground video, which probably were taken right after the driveway and site were done, but it'll kind of give you a good look at what those look like. But heavily wooded. As far as the topography, why don't we take a look at that? We'll look at a topo map here. We can switch the base layers on this MapRight interactive map, which is really handy. There we go. So what this is showing us is that from the easement road on the south side, as you go northerly, it rises up gradually, actually levels off toward the center, and then as you keep going north, it slopes back down gradually, and you've got this wet weather creek bed, which apparently crosses diagonally over the north part of the property. So that's certainly not going to be a year-round creek, but the fact that it's indicated by a blue line on the topo map probably means that there could be water in there at certain times throughout the year. This kind of dashed line that you see cutting through the National Forest and some of the tracts, that likely was a road when this topo map was made back in the 1940s or 50s, maybe even more recently. But we couldn't see any sign of any road up there at this point. So if there was a road, it just hasn't been used for decades. The only sign that we could see of a road was up here on the county road, about where it shows this road beginning. You can see what looks like an old trailhead into the National Forest, but there's a huge mound of dirt there that looks like it's been there for years and years. So that probably was the National Forest closing down that road many years ago. But because it's on the topo maps, it tends to show up on a lot of the maps. So when you go through, like if we look at satellite map, for instance, aerial map, you can see there over here on track 7, it says County Road 4840. Well, there's no road there, but it's showing that because probably essentially it was on an old map and just kind of carried through. So that's why you're seeing that. What there is on the north side of these tracks, and let's see if we can zoom in a little bit if you can see it better. There is a straight cleared line that runs on the north side of the tracks, but it's not a road. There's a kind of a wintertime. Why don't we go back to that and we'll zoom out a little bit. You'll see it in the drone video for sure, but you can see it really well on the east side of tract 1, and then it goes across the north side of all these tracts. So it looks like it would be a road. It's not. What it is before, years ago, when this was all one large tract of essentially just hunting land, the owner at that time had someone come in with a bulldozer and bulldoze a line along the entire exterior. So maybe he was going to fence it, or maybe he just wanted a definition between his tract and the National Forest or whatnot. So that's what that is on the north side of this tract. It is nice because it does give you a really nice definition between your private tract and the National Forest. And the cleared line itself is on your private tract. So then when the trees begin on the other side of that cleared line, that's the National Forest on the north side. But again, I think you see that in the drone video, so that's pretty cool. Let's switch back to the topo really quickly here, and then we'll call it good. So as you come into the property on the south side, the driveway is roughly in the center of the road frontage. This shows that as you go north on the driveway, it probably slopes up pretty gradually. The site itself may or may not be totally level. You can see that the videos to check that out. But then as you get in toward the center, it's interesting on these topo maps, these older ones, the X with the numbers indicates the high point in that area. So 1181, that would be the elevation above sea level of right where that X is. So right here on track 9 appears to be the highest point in the area, probably in this section of land. We know there's some higher stuff as you go west of here, but as we go east toward the road, we've got an 1172 up there, 1174, 1093. So yeah, from what we're seeing, that kind of the highest point in the area is right on track 9, which is kind of neat, kind of cool. Give you some bragging rights maybe. And that may extend into track 10 as well. Not sure about that, but technically the X itself looks to be on track 9. Really hadn't noticed that, but it's kind of neat. But anyway, yeah, gorgeous tract. You can play with the different base maps on MapRight, which is fun because it often will show the property at different times of the year. So you might get to see it with leaves, without, etc., etc. Yeah, I mean, we're excited about all these tracks. These first dozen tracks where they border the National Forest on two sides are especially nice. This one happens to lay nicely. Also have a long driveway. I mean, the driveway, this white dashed line won't be precise, but it's probably not too far off. So it looks like the driveway goes back a good 300 feet into the property. So very, very private, has a large site, and obviously the access into the National Forest is unbelievable. I mean, if you're a hunter, you know the value of having National Forest frontage. You go directly from your property into the National Forest and hunt and use that public land. So beautiful property. If you have any questions, let us know. That's track 9 at the Devil's Backbone. Pretty cool name. We stole the name from the Devil's Backbone Recreation Area, which is about 10 miles southwest of this property, still within the National Forest.